Social entrepreneur and CEO Afro and Diaspora Center. Suswana Olatunji Kamalath. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm a bit nervous. I don't know why. I do this most of the time, so I still get a little bit nervous. So bear with me for a second. Now, this whole idea of, but before I start my presentation, I have to say that I've really enjoyed the 5 people that have spoken ahead of me. And well done, well spoken, every one of you. One of the things I love really is history. I love history so much because it really gives you an identity of who you are as a person. And I love that so much. So when she was talking about the history of Ireland, it's just, that I'm in my element when I see people really talking about history because it really defines us and it really speaks a lot about who we are. So this whole idea of ECHO started in 2020. Yeah, it started in 2020, and it started around when we had the COVID time. So I've been nursing this whole idea in my mind, but I really put it into practice around 2020. And the whole idea of ECHO comes from the fact that as Africans, Caribbeans living in Ireland, we need a platform whereby we can actually flourish in terms of our businesses, where we can come together, people doing businesses, entrepreneurs, and community organizations like this, that they can have a platform. They can understand the idea of businesses, they can understand the idea about authenticity, because I see that most of us sometimes when we start businesses in Ireland, we want to blend in rather than to stand out. And when you're talking about history there, I was saying to myself there, most of the people you talked about, they really lay a foundation. So for us as African Caribbeans, coming in to integrate as new migrant diasporas in Ireland, what is going to be our foundation? What is people going to say in the next 15 years' time? Because are we really integrating? When you talk about the Anglo-Irish, they really integrate. They have the economic power. When you talk about the British, they integrate. They left their language. They left their footprints in Ireland. So what are we going to do as migrants? So ECHO means economic power, community, and opportunity. So do we have economic power as Africans in Ireland? As a community, do we have a community wealth? And are we tapping into opportunities that are available for us in this community? When Stephanie was talking about housing, I can see that we really didn't engage. But that is something we need to tap into. Yeah, that is something we really need to tap into. That is part of the opportunities. And if you see the future that we are going into now, we need to have this opportunity at our finger. Everybody needs to own something. So you can either buy a plot of land, and there's opportunity to buy lands in Ireland. You need those opportunities. Second slide. Second slide, please. Okay, that's done. Okay, so I'll keep talking if I can get that. So the organization is called the African Caribbean Irish Chambers of Commerce. So I set this up in 2020, and it's about bringing African businesses together. And the whole ethos around it is about us having ECHO, that is economic power, community wealth, and creating opportunity, tapping into opportunities. So what is economy? Economic strength and community. ECHO is a vital framework for building economic strength through community-led wealth generation. It emphasizes the intercontinental economic power and community well-being, fostering a sustainable environment where opportunities thrive and community prosper through collaborative efforts. So what I'm saying in the essence of this framework, this understanding the framework is about, do you have an economic power? So when you live here today as a community integrating, ask yourself, do we have an economic power? We don't have at all. Do we have community wealth? We don't have at all. Do we see opportunities and are we tapping into it? And I'm specifically focusing on the African Caribbean community. I know that within the room we have a lot of migrant community. That's where is across different culture, but my focus on things is the African community. So start thinking about that when you leave here. And do you want to be part of this community that creates power, community, and tap into opportunity? Next slide. So, meet myself, that's me, Susanna. It's Susanna Olatunji Komolafe, and I pioneer these community wealth, this whole idea. And what I'm trying to do with this is to bring people together. People that have either established or people that are thinking of seizing opportunity. So if you're here today, you have a business, and you're from Africa or Caribbean, this is a platform I want you to join. And I can do it alone, that is why we call it community wealth. I can do it alone, that is why we call it economic power and opportunity. So if we have an economic power, then we can create opportunity for a community. If we have economic power, but we don't have it. And that is why you don't see us in the media. That is why we don't own lands. That is why we still stay on mortgages. We can't own our land. But we have to start moving towards that. Because when we're here now, we call it home. So if it is home, then we have to be part of the people creating power in this nation. So the next slide, please. So why does this matter? Why does this conversation matter? Why it matters because inclusiveness. When you say you're in a new environment, you want to be part of that environment. You just don't want to contribute by going to work, be laborers. You want to have businesses that provide opportunity for others. So that is it. So you have to be inclusive and giving, and that's power. And power is the most important thing that allows us to surrender ourselves in the world we live in today. So strengthen our wealth. So this community, this opportunity allows us to strengthen. When you come together, we have more power, we have more strength. And if I have 100 euro, and you put your 100 euro, I put mine, but by the time we all put, we have like 20,000 or so, I should say, yeah? And is that not more powerful if we invest it as a community, either into farming, that will create opportunity for so many other people to either work, that will create opportunity for people to have wealth, to increase their wealth. So that is why this matters. New opportunities. So from having power, from strengthening our wealth, when we acquire wealth, economic wealth, which is the most important thing in the world. That is why today we have just only 5 people that are billionaires controlling the world. They're not just controlling the world, they're trying to control the universe. They're trying to decide if you're going to get out of your house tomorrow. And that is power. So we have to start creating this power for our own community, because it is important that we have our own tribes. That is the only way we can survive in the next future that we're going to. So, and that gives us opportunity. The next slide, please. So this is something that I'm promoting. I've started this since 2020. I said Africa Euro Day, buy into African community. We as a community, we are the only community that spend our money outside our own community. We don't buy within ourselves. So I'll use this town as an example. So let's say an African person starts an African shop. In the next 3-4 years, it's going to be an Asian person, because we won't buy. But if you're sincere with yourself, as an African person selling an African food, how many times do you see an Asian person coming into your shop to buy? And this has nothing to do with discrimination. Oh, forget that. It's about power. We need it in our community. So that's why it's important. And what I want you guys to do is to explore. Talk to me about this. And talk about it within yourself as well. Is this does this really matter? What is she saying? So participate in this dynamic panel discussion when we are talking. Make sure you engage, ask questions. I'll be happy to answer. And I know time might not permit us to say more. We can do that after. And if you're in the room, please, if you have a business, be the voice. You know, your voice really matters in this. So talk to me after. Thank you.